Hello and welcome to My Side of the Bag. I'm Drew Hinesley, joined by my co-host Scott Leonard, aka Scotty Worldwide, and our guest today, experienced veteran caddy of both the LPGA and PGA tours, Kyle Morrison. But before we get to our conversation with Kyle, we want to thank our sponsors, Birdie Brands, best bug spray in the game, Game On, Bugs Gone, and also we want to thank Uncle Keith's Red Sauce, proud sponsor of the show. Call it red sauce, call it salsa. When you have Uncle Keith's, you can call it a party. All right, Scotty, why don't you properly introduce our guest today?
Oh, my man. Well, longtime friend, longtime caddy on both LPGA and PGA Tour, friend of the show, and someone that is, as stellar as they come when it comes to caddying. Currently caddies for world number 53, Alex Noren, our friend, our fellow LA boy, Kyle Morrison. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Go Dodgers.
There we go. Absolutely. Don't say that too long. We got a Freddie Freeman Atlanta Brave.
You can. I know. That was a tough the way that went down when you heard about it after the fact. But we're happy to have him.
Well, I was actually at the Dodgers game this year, the first one that they played in Atlanta this year, and Freddie got a standing ovation. The fans in Atlanta understand how that went down, so he can remain a hero in our minds instead of a guy just chasing the money, going to the big pocketbooks of those LA guys. So we like Freddie, and we were happy for Freddie in the way he performed in the World Series. Not necessarily the Dodgers, but happy for Freddie.
Yeah, Jason McDeed, who you just had on, he's a big Braves fan as well. So we go back and forth about it a lot too.
Well, let's start right there. So Jason, caddies for Nelly. They just won this weekend, by the way, coming on the show. It's been pretty good for some guys this year. Paul Cormack came on, wins a gold medal, and wins at St. Andrews. Jason wins at Pelican for their sixth victory of the year, I believe. Sixth or seventh?
I think seven.
Seven, maybe
right?
seven this year.
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's the most wins by an American in like 40 years. So I know your schedule starts in 2025 in Maui at the Century Tournament of Champions. So maybe we get to discuss a win with you after that trip to Hawaii in January. That's kind of the trend the show's been on. You wouldn't mind that at all, would you?
Yeah, that'd be great. It's been fun to see Jason and Nelly do so well. Jason and I got so close after I was working for Jess Corda for a few years, and so we were calling ourselves Team Corda or Team Jelly. We still have a Team Jelly group chat. We send each other texts all the time, and so it's nice to stay close with all of them and see them all doing so well, including Jess with her new baby boy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You spent so much time with those guys, and then when Jess takes the break to have the child, you really struggle, and you land a guy like Alex Noren. So, talk about that whole transition.
Yeah, I got really lucky. It was really through one agent friend of mine and through Jamie Mulligan, who was Jess and Nelly's coach and also Patrick Cantlay's coach. Patrick and Alex share a trainer, a physio, and so Jamie knew that through the trainer that Alex was looking for a caddy. I happened to be available. I got a call on a Sunday evening as I was on a walk with my wife, yeah, wife, newborn baby, and my dog. And I get a call from Alex and say, "Hey man, can you do the next 2 weeks at Byron Nelson and Memorial and starting tomorrow?" And I say, "Yeah." I look over at my wife and she shakes her head and yes. And so I hop on a plane, I think early the next morning, and then yeah, all of a sudden I'm walking Colonial the next morning and uh, figuring it all out.
That's awesome. How rewarding has it been, Kyle, for you to go to that bag and the success that you guys have had in really just a short while, and now you're in the elevated events. His world rank has continued to improve. looking back, that phone call to where we are today, just how rewarding has that been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously extremely grateful. I've gone in with no expectations. I intentionally didn't look at how his previous results had been leading up to when I first started with him. I obviously knew who he was. I knew he had been top 10 in the world. Um, I didn't know what kind of guy he was. And first and foremost, he's a great guy. He's a great guy to hang out with. He's a great guy to be around. He's known for putting in a lot of hours, and so we put some time on the range in the practice areas, and so um, it makes it much easier when he's such a cool guy to be around. And yeah, the success, on the course, that's just been a bonus, really. Yeah, he's extremely talented. A little bit of belief from him can go a long way, and more than anything, I feel like I've been just a constant for him, and I try to keep showing up and doing a good job, and he seems to be appreciative of it, and he does the same. So it's easy to work hard when you're with a guy that puts in as much hard work as he does. So
Well, from my perspective, I had a chance to walk with you guys. I know a couple of days at the BMW at Castle Pines, and I know I've seen you at other events throughout the last season and a half. But I was really focused on you in Castle Pines, watching both of you, and he seems to me very intense, very passionate competitor. And you are very Southern California chill out there. Nothing bothers you. And I do think you guys are a great tandem in that respect where he can compete as intensely as he needs to, and he knows he's just got calm waters when he looks over to you. Is that something you focus on? Is that something you have to work on, or is that just kind of naturally how you guys fit together?
yeah, fortunately, that seems to be kind of my personality, and so it clicks well with someone who's more intense. Like another Swede I've worked for, Anna Nordquist, similar in that I never had to try to raise the intensity because the intensity's there, and same with Alex. And there's a lot of ways that Alex and I are similar. Maybe some similar interests or some um, outlook on the world, but his his intensity is a nice or balance to my calm demeanor and my consistent nature. My energy levels don't go up and down too much, and so I think that's been a nice constant for him, like I said before.
That's awesome, Kyle. I want to go back and kind of the origins before you got to where you're at today, and looking now that you've had success on the LPJ. You met with Anna Norquist, obviously Jess Corda, now for Alex Noren. Can you speak to kind of maybe how your experience on the LPGA and some of the things that you've learned that has helped you on the PGA Tour? Because it's a jump that a lot of guys have done it, but it's not that common to have success right away. Obviously, you mentioned Paul Cormack, who went and then came back to the LPGA and now is having success with Lydia. So can kind of just talk about the things that you might have picked up and help you every day on the PGA Tour level?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, after you've been caddying on the LPGA for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you think, oh man, it'd be great to be on the PGA Tour or, immediately be on the PGA Tour. But I really attribute the success that I've had, in my short stint on the PGA Tour so far with all the years that I've put in and learned the craft and, figured out what I'm doing out there and gained experience through being in contention. And that's something that's so valuable on the LPGA. If you have a top player, because um, the depth of the field isn't quite as deep, like the competition isn't quite as deep on the LPGA, you're in contention a lot more often on the LPGA with a top player than you are on the PGA Tour. And so getting in contention and understanding scenarios or being able to read your player, um, it's really valuable. And so the 12 plus years or so I had on the LPGA were huge for my my career going forward. So it's I'm very appreciative of it. Whereas, at one point, you always think like, oh man, I wish I could be out on the PGA Tour with the big dogs, and but like I saw Jason on your podcast
Mhm.
last week or a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned being in the spotlight and having that pressure on you every day, and as a caddy, that's what you want. You want you, I, you want to go in and when you're walking the course thinking, oh, when we're coming down the stretch on Sunday, this is what we're going to be doing, and every single shot is going to matter, and we're going to be in contention. So I gotta put in my work. I gotta know every little inch and every little detail. So yeah, it's been great.
Well, let's talk about that. Everybody thinks that it's a better world. The grass is greener on the other side of the fence. I know you can probably give me some positives and negatives to both tours. So I'd love to hear what are the positives of the LPGA, what are maybe some negatives of the LPGA, and do the same for the PGA Tour.
Yeah. I mean, the LPGA, I tell people my favorite tour to caddy on is the Ladies European Tour because there's such little amount of money. No one's doing it for the money. Everyone loves it. The sense of community is great, and that's what you get more on the LPGA Tour versus the PGA Tour. There's probably a little bit more sense of community. It's a little bit more genuine. There's guys and players out there that are just getting by as financially. So it feels like you're doing it a little bit more for the love of it versus out on the PGA Tour. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm not saying Ted Scott doesn't, is only doing it for the money. He loves what he does, and that's what makes him so great. But it just feels a little bit more genuine. Um, and that sense of community seems a little bit tighter um, when there's a little bit less money involved. Um, I guess one of the cool things about the PGA Tour that you don't get to experience on the LPGA is being in the locker room. And my very first week, Alex says, "Okay, I'll meet you, an hour and a half before tea time in the locker room." And I'm going, in the locker room? I'm not allowed in the locker room. Like, what? He must mean just outside the locker room. So I'm waiting outside the locker room, and he's texting me, "Where are you?" It's like, I'm just outside the locker room. He's like, "Well, come in and get my bag." uh, uh, Not that Alex isn't afraid of carrying his own bag, but it's uh, it's cool to rub shoulders, and there's locker room talk with the guys, and that's one of the biggest differences on the PGA Tour is hanging out with 144 other guys versus 144 other women. It's just different. I'm not saying it's better or worse. Um, it's just a, a little bit less emotion, maybe a little bit more banter.
All
The
right,
guys also,
hanging with the
yeah,
boys.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, trying to think about other positives and negatives. I call the PGA Tour the T-shirt tour. I feel like every single week the caddies get a T-shirt from the sponsor, the local sponsor, or the title sponsor. So I've got, I feel like from being out there a year and a half, I've got 2 dozen T-shirts from different tournaments.
That's awesome. Kyle,
Yeah.
also, I think something that's unique, and I'm in this boat as well, is you make your home right here in Southern California. And it feels to me like a lot of the golf world is not here and is not structured here. So, we have to get on planes to kind of go everywhere. Can you maybe speak to that and like kind of how some of that's unique to basically being here in SoCal and most of the golf world feels like it's in Texas or in Florida?
Yeah, or Arizona.
Sure.
I agree. There's not a lot of caddies and or players that live in Southern California, and I think uh, a lot of guys love to talk trash on
Yes.
California. How
Yes.
how are you able to live there? And I'm
Yes.
like, Well, I'm wearing t-shirt and shorts, and it's the middle of November right now, so I'm not really sure how to answer that question. Um, yes, we pay a little bit more in taxes. I call it the sunshine tax. I've been fortunate to grow up here, and even more fortunate to still be here. I can see the ocean from my window right here, and um, yeah, it is interesting. Even a lot of guys that are from Southern California have moved away. Max Homa lives in Scottsdale. There's a few caddies that live in Southern California. Carl that works for Sahith uh, lives here in Los Angeles. Zeke who works for Kevin Yu and Jordan Guilford works for Andrew Putnam. He lives down in San Clemente, and they're all from this area too. So those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, as far as like courses go here in Southern California, it's nice we get a few tournaments on the PGA Tour nearby. We didn't play Torrey Pines or Riviera last year. I'm most looking forward to Riviera, that being the tournament I grew up watching as a kid. Pretty excited that I'll be inside the ropes for the first time. So
Well, and the host there will be pretty cool to chat with him, won't it?
yeah, yeah. Fortunately, we played a few tournaments with Tiger this year. We haven't played with him in the group, but um, just to see him walking around and the draw that he has, I guess it was just the majors that we played this year. The PGA, the US Open, and the Open Championship. Those are the three where I got to see him this year. It's pretty awesome.
Just talk about that. Talk about the way the buzz changes when he's around.
Oh yeah, I mean practice rounds get more intense. I'm out there trying to walk the course, and oh shoot, I'm coming up on Tiger's group. Like I can't get anywhere. Heavy security, more fans. Um, yeah, no, it's awesome. And I mean, the guy flushes it. I think it's just putting the tournament rounds together for him. That's the challenging part for him right now.
Well, I'll tell a funny story. Being on the West Coast, being at Chambers Bay in the U.S. Open, I was actually working for a young amateur who was going to sign with Mark Steinberg. So we were kind of in that bubble a little bit that week. And Mark's on the range with us. I think Kuchar was next to us on the range, or Justin Rose, or somebody that necessitated his attendance there. And he looks over. It's like 4:15 in the afternoon, so it's 7:15 in the East Coast, and he sees all the media packing up over on the right side of the range. He looks at me. He goes, "Who they're going to be mad in about 20 minutes?" And I said, "Is he on his way?" He goes, "Yeah, he's on his way to play a late practice round." And sure. And so I just kind of took a moment. I looked around real quick. Maybe 5, 7 players on the range. There may have been 200 people in the bleachers in the grandstand that they had built behind the range. Within 30 minutes, the grandstands were packed, and Tiger comes up in the spot next to my guy, and I couldn't even get to my guy anymore. So much media, so many club reps suddenly just had to be right there in that space. And again, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday at a U.S. Open, everything changed because of his presence, and the people don't understand the magnitude with which he can change the atmosphere, like you said, even in a practice round.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Kyle, one thing you mentioned at the top of the show is how the transition happened from Jess Cota to getting the call to go work for Alex Noren, and it was through an agent. I think we have a lot of caddies looking to get to somewhere like a Jess Cota or like an Alex Noren. How important is that relationship with agents and maybe people that we all don't know, for caddies watching this? And can you explain like just maybe how important that aspect of the game at this level is?
Yeah, it's always something I've tried to make a genuine effort to do. You know, maybe not so intentional. I guess just trying to go about it the right way. Um, it's people ask me how you get a good job, and it I tell them it comes down to reputation and experience. And um, part of that experience is building your network, whether it's coaches and agents and other players. And I I say it creates a really nice environment um, out on tour because it's in my best interest, for Drew to say I'm a good guy, or it's and so it creates a good environment and a pretty, especially amongst the caddies. It creates an environment where everyone seems to be generally nice to each other because it's in their best interest. And it just takes time to develop the, reputation and get to know people and happen to meet agents along the way. And it, I think just being nice and being friendly goes a long ways as far as getting the jobs. It maybe doesn't help you quite as much in the moment, at the skill of doing the job, but it certainly helps um, in getting the jobs.
Well, let's take it back even further. How did you get into this crazy business of caddying?
Yeah, I played golf, competitively growing up, and I played in college at Cal State Bakersfield here in California, and I knew I wanted to stay in the golf world when I graduated. I, I didn't want to. I didn't think I was good enough to play professionally. I was very realistic in that sense, and but I was still playing a lot of golf, playing low-level professional events here in Southern California, just as an amateur, playing a lot. I met or I was playing at Palos Verdes Golf Club where they have an LPGA event now, and I'm good friends with the head pro. Well, I wasn't at the time, but I I was playing with a group of guys, and the head pro joined us, and he said he had a student who had just qualified for the LPGA and asked what I was doing and told me she was looking for a caddy and thought I would be a great fit. And I was 22 and I called her up and she said, "Oh, well, my first event's in Australia. Do you want to come?" I'm like, yeah. I'm 22, thinking that'll be the coolest thing ever. So that was with Jane Raw, who was from right here in Torrance. I worked for Jane for 5 weeks and she fired me. So then I was a real caddy at that point. I loved it. And then I got connected with Mo Martin, and I worked for 4 years with Mo Martin, and I learned a ton from Mo. She was like an older sister type figure in my life. She had been a professional for, she was a 30-year-old rookie on the LPGA,
Hmm.
so she had played professional golf for 6, 7, 8 years on the Symetra tour, basically. And so she had learned the ropes. She was experienced in traveling. She probably traveled more like a caddy than a professional because she was, had to watch her budget being on the Symetra tour for that long. And she was really appreciative to be out on the LPGA too, because she had worked so long and so hard to get there. I learned a ton from her. I credit her with a ton of my success that I've had. And that flag I got over there in the corner
Hey.
is our the Women's British Open that she won at Royal Birkdale in 2014, and that was an amazing experience, and couldn't have been happier for her. Um, but yeah, that was my first few years and how I got into it, and yeah, so stumbled into it. Everyone's got a different story of how they got out there. Some guys showed up to an event in the parking lot, and that's how they got their first bag. A lot of times though, it's meeting someone local, um, and jumping on with them and hoping to have success with them right away.
Yeah, I'm a parking lot guy from the early 2000s. I really don't know that that can even be done today with just security. And
Mhm.
again, I don't know how smart it was to begin with, but it's certainly not that smart today.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's all at a PGA Tour event. It's virtually impossible to pick a guy up in the parking lot. Yeah, I mean maybe on the Corn Ferry Tour, maybe some events on the LPGA, but yeah, pretty tough.
All right. So, what's your handicap right now?
I think I'm at 2.4,
Oh,
2.5, something like that. I've been
minus
playing
or
okay.
minus or plus?
A minus, a minus.
All
Yeah,
right. So
I
after hanging out with the 53rd ranked player currently in the world and the rest of the world's best for the last, we'll give it 18 months of your life, how far away is a -2 handicap from those guys?
it's not even on the same planet. It's like, I mean, Jess Corda hits it long on the LPGA, but I hit it the same distances as Jess Corda. Um, it's really easy to actually caddy for Alex Noren because he's in meters and he hits his 7 iron 170 meters and I hit my 7 iron 170 yards. So,
Perfect.
I mean, he easily hits it 10% further than me with every club in the
and
bag.
and
So,
you're bigger in stature than he is as well. So
yeah,
he's getting
uh-huh.
a lot more out of his frame than you are.
Oh yeah, he's a big strong. I mean, he's a strong guy. He's a strong guy for being 5'10",
Right.
or 5'11", whatever he is. But yeah, it's that was one of the biggest changes for me being out there, especially caddying for a guy like Alex, is knowing what shots he can pull off. And so there was a lot of observing, whether that was practice rounds or even tournament rounds where, I'd question him a little bit, say, "You're going where with this hybrid over the trees from 200, 30 meters,
Yeah.
250 yards?" Um, and and it's taken me a long time to understand what he can pull off. And then when I play golf now, I'm totally lost. Well, Alex would just hit a 7 iron over these trees. I'm hoping to get a gap wedge over these, or something like that. But it's Alex is really talented. There's other PGA Tour players that will come up to him and ask him about short game shots or stuff about their swing, and he's always happy to help guys out, especially when we're at an open championship. We're in these pot bunkers off a downslope or got a big lip in front of them. I've seen multiple players come up and ask Alex, like, "Hey, can I watch you hit a couple?" Even I've seen Xander Schauffele come up and ask him how he hit some out of the rough. Or it's people recognize how talented he is.
Well, I can tell you, I recognize it because I remember being on the putting green with you guys at Castle Pines before the final round. And the last thing he does is he pulls out his lob wedge and he makes like these 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock swings and he hits like 4 yard flop shots on the putting green
Yeah,
from just off the
yeah,
putting green. And it's pretty good speed and the ball goes straight up and straight down and you're just right there shagging him. And I'm just going, this guy's short game. I don't know if people really know how insanely talented he is. So
yeah.
it just takes a couple of swings for me to see. And I know guys like Xander and Cantlay and all them, they recognize it as well. So obviously you kind of want to get inside his brain a little bit, see if it can help your game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, some of these flop shots he hits, I could hit it 125 yards, and he's hitting it four.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you asked him about that? How do you only hit that 4 yards with that much speed? And
You know,
and when you go and duplicate it at your practice green, how many do you hit before you actually come close to hitting an Alex Noren flop shot?
uh, yeah, he gives me some tips every once in a while. Late in the day on a Tuesday on the practice or on the chipping green, um, I'll start hitting a couple, and he'll give me a few tips. But um, yeah, it's uh it's fun to be around. It's fun to watch it every day.
Have you guys played golf one on one and gotten some shots?
No, we haven't played.
Okay.
I've hit a few shots with him. I've hit a few shots on the range or on the course with him. But no, I don't want to play against him.
It sounds like you got a couple of days ahead of the Century that you'll be out in Maui. Maybe you guys need to figure out a game before you actually
Yeah,
play for
There you
money
go.
again in 2025.
yeah, seriously. I know I've got a few golf games lined up here in the next few weeks. Playing Rustic Canyon, one of my favorite courses here in Los Angeles, here in a week or so. And yeah, got a golf game tomorrow at my local course, Los Verdes, up here. So yeah, I'm excited. It's nice to get out, and I think playing golf is important for me too in my caddying. I, feel like it keeps me sharp reading greens, keeps me um, just sharp, different lies, and um, yeah, I think it's an important part for my success
Kyle,
as far as staying sharp.
are you still part-time in the beer business? Or is that over?
No, I help out at a local brewery here, Project Barley here in Lomita. My father-in-law is a retired aerospace engineer turned brewer, and so I go in and help him brew beer every once in a while. Less since I
Yeah.
had a daughter about 18 months ago, but we still go in there. I say she's going to be the world's youngest female brewer here. But
There we go.
yeah, it's fun. It's nice local community we have here. Just pop down to the brewery and help out,
There you go.
move around some 50-pound bags of grain and
It's a little is it easier or harder than a tour bag to carry?
harder for sure.
All right, listen, Kyle, before we let you go, we want to play a quick nine with you, nine rapid fire questions. You're just going to give us the first thing that pops into your brain. We've been doing it lately with Scotty leading us off, asking all the odd questions. So why don't we just keep that going?
All right.
All right, here we go. Number one, favorite city.
Haleiwa, Hawaii, North Shore of Oahu.
Tough to beat.
Early, late, or late, early?
Um, I like early, late, having that nice 24 hours off in between the tea times. Although I think the greens are typically the worst they'll be all week on Friday afternoon. So I don't know. I'm questioning my answer now. I'll take that back. I like late early. Like just get it over with. Just get it over with. I talked myself out of it.
So, hey, that's good caddying right there.
Well, my
Yeah.
philosophy on the late early is if there's nine scores on the same number, if I'm the first one in, then I'm about 45 to 50 minutes out later on Saturday, which is always an advantage.
Yeah, I like it. I'm with you.
Hot and humid or cold and windy?
I'll say cold and windy, not because I enjoy it more, but because it reminds me of the British Open. Sorry, the Open Championship.
Yes.
Working for a European now.
Hey, better
All
get
the
that right.
European guys, they love to give me a hard time every time I say the British
Uh,
Open.
All right, chatty Cathy or silent Caddy when you're out there?
Uh, Whatever my player needs at the time, I can I can I can change it up if I need to.
all right. You're commissioner for a day of the PJ Tour. What's the first thing you're changing?
Uh, no more launch monitors on the driving range, on the course
Ooh.
at all. No quads, no
I
TrackMans.
like it.
Ooh, you might get a little pushback on that one from the PAC
Yeah,
committee.
Sounds like
yeah.
you've fallen
There's
over an orange boxer twice on the driving range.
there's some guys in that PAC committee that like their data readings. I can tell
Oh
you that.
yeah.
All right, what's your go-to on-course snack? You're a SoCal guy, so I guarantee you it's healthy.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty lazy as far as that goes. I don't prepare that well. Whatever's on the first or 10th tee, usually a banana, hopefully a granola bar, but gotta have some snacks.
I'm waiting for one of you SoCal guys to say you bring sushi with you every day to work. Hideki brings his rice ball in cellophane.
Yeah,
He and
yeah,
Sota have rice balls out there in the bag that they're making every night. And you
yeah.
SoCal guys really are a little bit lazy when it comes to that. I thought you guys would pick up on that.
Nah, we're just laid back. We just
Yeah,
go with the flow.
yeah. Eat whatever. Have a beer after. It's all
Fine.
good.
Yeah, yeah, we're good.
All right. Um, who should be our next guest, Kyle?
Mm, sticking with caddies, right?
Only caddies.
Oh, yeah. Um, Who'd be
Unless
a
you think
good
Alex
guest?
Norman wants to come on this show and talk to us.
Um, who should be your next guest? Have you had Cole on? Cole
Nope.
Pensanti?
No.
Yeah, yeah. Cole's great. He's one of my close friends here from Southern California that's moved away to Las Vegas. Another one, another fallen soldier.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lilia Vu's caddy. I got Cole connected with Lilia actually, I think, through another or Lilia's coach, Brett Lederer,
I
who's
know,
also
I
at a
know, I know the loud lefty. I know Brett.
yeah, Brett's a legend.
Hey,
Really
He is a
close with
legend.
Jamie Mulligan. Super nice guy.
is Cole writing you some percentage checks for
Man, he had some year last year.
right?
I was happy for him. That was great.
All right,
Lily is an awesome girl too.
question number 8 for you, Kyle. Don't make
Yeah.
me go back. What's a place that you'd be
Uh,
okay never visiting again?
um, I heard Scotty say uh, ShopRite, Seaview in Atlantic City. I've been covered in bug bites there. Just hundreds, if not thousands of bug bites all over my arms and legs from that place. So that's a pretty easy one to say. You know, that along with the roach-filled motels right around there that I've stayed in. That's that's yeah, it's probably high on my list.
All
Yeah, some
right.
of the things you see in Atlantic City, waking up in some of those hotels to open your door at 5:30 to see the weather and the scenes that are happening on the street, you're
Yeah,
like,
No,
"Oh boy, let's just get to the golf course where things are a little more normal."
no.
yeah,
I
agreed.
I spend a fortune just to stay at Seaview every year because it's the only
Yeah,
place to stay,
yeah,
and it's well worth the premium. Final
yeah.
question here, Kyle. Favorite caddy and player to be paired with?
Uh, Probably Joel Damon and Gino. They're great. Just easy to hang out with. Guys that you'd want to spend time off the golf course with. Play nice and fast. Are courteous. One quick funny story about Gino. We were playing with Joel and Gino the third round at the Players this year, and we had to wait on the 16th tee, and Alex is, or I think Gino goes and lifts my bag just to see how heavy the bag is. And Alex is a total stickler about not having anything in there excessive. So he's got, 3 Cliff Bars, 0 rain gear, 0 training aids. He makes me take out the alignment stick before one alignment stick. Oh yeah, make sure you take that out before we go. We've got nothing in there. I have to convince him that we need the umbrella most times, or a rain jacket. He goes, I'm never going to wear that rain jacket. Alex, Gino, Gino picks up my bag and goes, it's so light. So Alex picks up their bag and goes, dude, what do you have in here? And we had quite a long wait. So Alex starts going through Joel Damon's bag, and there were 3 rangefinders, there were 25 gloves. There was just, it was so heavy. Alex was so upset that the bag was so heavy. Yeah.
Such
So
an
now it's
injustice
kind
for Gino.
of, yeah. No, and Joel said Gino can take out whatever he wants. So it's an ongoing joke between the 4 of us is how heavy Joel's bag is.
That's awesome.
Well, my only problem with getting paired with those two is I end up listening to their stupid conversation all day, and they
Yeah.
can be very distracting. And so I have to work very hard to stay in my lane, focus on my guy, because
Yeah.
they draw you in like a tractor beam because they are so dang funny. Just their interaction, just the one-liners they give each other that nobody else hears. It just cracks you up.
Oh yeah, and they're genuine nice guys. The
Oh yeah.
first round I got paired with them. Say, Kyle, we don't know you. We're gonna spend 4 hours today getting to know you. So we're walking down the fairway. They're asking me questions every time.
Yeah.
Just like you said, I had to try to distance myself from them.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
it's no joke. You really have to work hard to get away from them and around
yeah,
in a
yeah,
good way. But it's like,
yeah,
"Whew, guys, I got work to do here. I want
yeah,
to spend the whole time with them. It's like they're the greatest practice round mates ever if you already have all your notes down and you don't need to take any notes that day.
yeah, exactly.
Well, Kyle, thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to our sponsors, Uncle Keith's Red Sauce and Birdie Brands, Game On, Bugs Gone. Thanks both of you guys for making time for us, coming to us from your homes in Southern California. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter, also X, and also Instagram. Any final thoughts from you, Kyle, before you let us go on what's upcoming in 2025?
Yeah, just excited to get things going here. My 3 months at home here is kind of wearing on me, probably wearing on my wife more than anything, but excited to get going and good to hear from you guys.
Well, and I think she's probably pretty excited to get to the Sunshine State starting 2025, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to Hawaii right after Christmas, go a few days early, and they're going to stay for the tournament in Maui, so that'll be fun. Excited.
Well, the Aloha State, not the Sunshine
Yeah,
State,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
ain't no,
a
ain't,
lot of
ain't,
sunshine in Hawaii, and it's a big bonus being a caddy's wife. That's a carrot that I've dangled out there for my wife. I haven't been able to cash in yet, so happy that you get to cash that in for your wife, honey. Let's go to Maui. You can put up with all the single nights and
yeah,
all the crying baby stuff by yourself. I'll just take you to
yeah,
Hawaii in January.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Fortunate to be able to do it.
Good. Well, we're rooting for you all the time. You know that.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Good
you
to
know,
hear from you.
Kyle, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, looked up to you for a long time. I think your transition's been great. All the guys still out here on tour are rooting for you and Alex. I think I saw you over at Pebble, which was cool with the little one. So that was
Yeah,
awesome. And just a note for you. I think we've only gotten to be paired one time over at Mission Hills when I was with AP, and you and Jess almost backdoored yourself into winning the tournament. So that was really fun to watch.
yeah, yeah. That was a fun day. Miss you guys.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Give us a listen, give us a like, and we'll keep giving you a view of the world of golf from my side of the bag.